Okay. Lots of things to build on today. Um, I want to go into a little bit about health if people are interested. I'm kind of offering them. I don't want to get into things that people don't want to necessarily know right now. But some people ask me about health. I thought I'd build on it during the class session, you know. Um, uh, Health protocols, things like that. Some health ideas and stuff. Go through my living foods protocol. And remember that the way I teach it, it's not necessarily a diet that I consider to be something everybody needs to do. Just like anything else, I'm doing what I think it and what I studied to be the best thing. But I know that everybody can't do that, so I just try to give everyone the option to be able to, at the very least, utilize this diet uh, for their own betterment. You know, for their own detox and whatnot and everything. You know. Yeah. So, with that said, what was as we close this is the last session in October. So those who build with me and everything like that understand that the last 2 months I'm in a fury to finish everything I've been working on. So make every year worthwhile of achievement. I think that all of us should be doing that. So all of our personal goals. See, a lot of people strive to get some of the goals that are outside, the goals that are out to the people, projects, whatever it is, creative or otherwise, whatever they are, done, work that needs to be done, things like that. But I measure the quality of a year first and foremost, actually, by the personal work, the training, the physical training. For everybody, it should be some kind of exercise, you know, the consistency of that. You should have a chart. You should log these things down, especially my brothers, right? Like, we need to be warriors. This is mandatory. We should be doing something every day. I don't even care if your job is physical. You add to that. You're doing a physical job, then it's in well, you know, you figure something out to do even more. Get sharper. Whatever's missing in the physical output of that job, you add it to your training. You add it to your workout. Everything is really not exercise. Everything is really training. Training to be able to do things and training to be able to defend ourselves when necessary. Right? Um, what else? How much we're doing in knowledge, how much we're studying, what books, what are we reading, how much we read, you know, have we read sufficiently? If we read enough, did we read good stuff, quality material? Right? All these things matter. Everything matters. Peace, truth, rules. All right. It's kind of a very hot day today. Very unlike this time of year. So um, I usually expect not too many students. You know, but everything changed. Everything changed after COVID. You know, the way we teach here, main courses here are taught, you know, through YouTube, right? Dark Kim and I, right? Also, too, last week, a lot of people were interested in the books that I was mentioning and speaking about. I put my email at the top of this chat. I can't remember, and I don't go back and review classes. I go by memory and how I build. If there's something that you would like, particular books, books that you don't know what they are, but you just want books on the particular subject, what have you, you got to email me because I don't remember all that stuff. Even if I have your email and stuff, I'm not going to remember. I'm not going to remember to email you a book. By the time I get home, it's already late at night. I rest. When I wake up, my work is on what I'm doing, what I'm creating, what I'm working on. So I can't remember all that. So if there's books that you want, doesn't matter what it is. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what it is. You ask and I'll see if I have it. Okay. But things like that, materials, plus lessons that I've taught here, these are all things to ask for because I can't remember all that when you know. And I keep it real. I'm really not. When I got 120 lessons, I had to be, man, I had to be on knowledge means back all the time. I had to be asking him, God, do you have I quoted the 1 to 14 and I built on it. You told me to come back for the 1 to 40. Oh, we didn't have it. I don't have it today. Okay. Oh, I don't have it today, And finally, the day that he didn't have it, or all of it, because I had pestered so much and stuff, he went and got it, right then and there. He went to Staples nearby on 125th and made copies and stuff of what he had, It was rushed and everything. I had to make sure I reviewed the set later with him to see if it was right and exact. But I wouldn't have been in the 20s or even the teens by the time he checked it again. So, you know what I mean? But it's always acceptable. It's always fine to to forward me stuff and messages that you sent and forward them back to me again and put them on the top of my pile. You know what I mean? Peace to the earth, harmony. Peace to the God, P.E.A.C.E. All right. It's always fine because I know that there were some books that people wanted to, but I couldn't remember. I think in the last couple of weeks, I spent a weekend. Took me about a couple of hours each day in that weekend to look at all the books I have, because most of my books are in Google Books. They're mostly EPUBs, and then to categorize them. And I categorized not everything, but I may have categorized at least 3,000 of the 6,000 in there. Kind of choosing the ones that are most important to read. And in the Google Play books, they allow you to make shelves, shelf them. So some authors that have many books, I shelved them in their own shelf. But everybody else, I was putting in different categories. Then I also had shelves for books in different subjects. I'm putting them into different subjects, but then I also had those same subjects, but which ones I'm actually reading at the moment. So I read many history books at one time, many science books at one time, many bios at one time, many music books at one time. So that way I could see what I'm reading though, So, yeah, it's a lot of books, right? Yeah. And now you have the facilities to keep adding more though. So that addiction should continue to add more and more. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, the only thing I want to take space in my home now is my kids' toys and polo. That's it. That's the only thing to take excessive space. You know what I mean? I don't really collect things. I don't, you know. Um, Unless it's kung fu related, I'll collect like weapons and stuff. But these are all things I would use though. So, you know, that's peace. That's definitely peace. I'm glad, you know, like I'm glad. It's fun to go through them, you know what I mean? Anytime you get tired of reading them, it's because you don't look at how many books you have. You know what I mean? That's always my answer. You're not reading the right book and you're not going through your whole library, you know? And some people have small libraries though. If you're learning with me, you shouldn't have a small library though. You know? Absolutely should not have a small library. You know? I think the most books I have of anyone, you'll see, and I think it's the same in what I share with you, Harmony. I think the most books I ever of anyone I have is Asho, and he has this beastly amount of books. He has like 200 some books. I know that in my Asho shelf there's a ridiculous amount. Let me see. On the laptop, you can't really access things, so let me see if I can. Oh yeah, you can. The bookshelves are here. So all right, so and mind you, I went through all my books and just picked ones I was going to read. So there were like, at the time, there was like 124 history books that intrigued me that I wasn't already reading to put in the shelves and things like that. I also separate history by history and then current events history. So there are certain books that are very timely, like now, you know what I'm saying? Um, and I separate all that, you know? Yeah, I have 2,741 that I didn't shelf here. It's a lot. Um, Let me see. Osho, I think, is number one here. Yeah, it's crazy. I have 280 Osho books. That's just obscene amount of books he wrote. I don't know. He was really prolific, man. Always be impressed by that number. You know, and then there's some other authors. I didn't know that they had so many books until I had put them in a category. You know, like Mark Kurlansky writes a lot of very intriguing histories. You know, like the perspectives. I love those kind of books. Like he has one about the history of milk, salt, a world history, a biography of the codfish. Like, you know, I just like the perspectives. You know, a lot of those kind of history books intrigue me because they try to tell the history of the world through particular things. Like one of the main books about the history of the world in I think it's the history of the world through six foods, and it was like six drinks. And it was funny because it was a book that my daughter had gotten when she was in high school, and I used to read books along with her in high school, and she never finished the book, but I really read it fast, and it was like six drinks. So it was like uh, beer, wine, what was it? Coffee, cola, something else. Yeah, it's not the history of the world in six drinks. History of the world in what is it? Let me see. No, I might have the wrong. Yeah, yeah. History of the world in six glasses. So it was, yeah, I had almost all of them. We beer, wine, spirits, right? All the other liquors, beer, wine, spirits, coffee, tea, and Coca Cola. It's cola. Very interesting read. Yeah. See, and I did that, and I see he has another book, an edible history of humanity. So you know I got to get that. But sometimes when you don't read history books so well and stuff, it's good to get a different perspective and stuff. You know what I mean? Read it for different angles and things. You know. I mean, the Howard Zinn books, those are basically the point of the Howard Zinn history books, to give a history when he led by the People's History of the United States, to give a history of a country, but not through its leaders and policies, and how that political history branches out to the people, but from the people's stories, the people's perspectives. It's really an intriguing angle. All right, so I added another book while we were talking here. See what I'm doing here? This addiction don't stop. Um, let's see. You were asking Powerful how I could get some of the weapons that I have, and he was like, "You can't get them." Oh man, what you gonna do with those? Butterfly knives are heavy, man. They'll cut. When I first got the butterfly knives, I was so excited by them, and I wasn't ready to use them, but I had gotten it. My sea gun hadn't told me I was ready for weapons like that, and I was just playing with it, and I took the knife, and I just was like, wow, it's kind of dull though. It doesn't cut you when you touch it, but it's sharp, but it doesn't cut you when you touch it at all, you know. And then I went like this, boom, and I just cut my whole right here. I cut that whole thing open. It was crazy, you know. I had to respect the power of the butterfly knife. You know what I mean? Do I read them by categories or just shuffle? Um, there's a book every like let's say for example, I'll read you some categories. There's animals in nature. I love reading about animals. Bios. There's also music bios. I separate those because music is really important for me, so I have separate those. Current events, and I love reading books about food. Not necessarily like food, like histories of food. Like I'm reading a book called The Secret Life of Groceries, like the history of the grocery store, supermarket. It's very intriguing. Um, Robert F. Kennedy's Vax on Vax book, things like that. You know what I mean? So those are books I'm reading. So I separate those as far as current events. Current events usually just histories that are necessary now. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm almost finished with this one, just freshening up. I'm finishing a book by Noam Chomsky and Ilan Papp, who are the two main Jewish scholars that have written about the history of Palestine and Israel, the devilishment going on over the years, over all these decades. And so that book I put in the current events history because that's like needs to be read now, you know. Another book I'm reading a book called Cobalt Red by Siddharth Kara about the slavery, out there in the Congo, dealing with the cobalt extraction. That's what powers all this stuff that we're using. So that's in the current events history. That's separate from history because I use the older histories there. Um, so I'm just going through the books I'm reading about these things. Let's see. Um, yeah, like right now I'm reading about 7 books about animals, and there are a lot of them. There's hummingbird, one book about birds in general, the horse, book about about horses, lions, bugs, turtles, snow leopard. Bios, there's about 9 of those I'm reading. Current events, there's 2 I'm reading here, and then 2 in here that I haven't started, but I put them in because I really want to start those because they're brand new. The current events histories I focus on at the end of the year because I know that they're timely, so I try to read them now. Trying to see. I feel like I messed up here. No, I didn't. That's fine. History. There's about 12 books I'm reading. Um, in there, Mongol history, Native American history, uh, fun books. I'm reading a book about the history of chocolate. You know what I'm saying? These Native American history, Puerto Rican history book. Um, reading a book about Wing Chun. Literature has the most books because I start a lot of literature books, but I'm horrible with them. So I start them and I don't finish them immediately. There's about 10 music bios I'm reading. Um, there's about four distinct music books I'm reading. Philosophy books. There's about four I'm reading now. 8 science books I'm reading now. Um, there's really about really two sports books I'm reading. That includes sports bios too. But I just go by the mood. So if I'm not really sharp, I read something like a sports book or literature, But if I'm really sharp, I start with the sciences and the histories, you know, and the bios and stuff like that is in between. If I'm sharp, but I want something fun, it's be animals and things like that. So I do shuffle them. I never read everything. The only thing that keeps you sharp is I always have to read at least 52 books a year. So then after I'm just reading whatever I feel like it, then I hanker down. You know what I'm saying? But now I've already read 51 books. So and by the time I get back home, it'll be 52 because I got like 10 pages left on that book about Palestine. So you know. Oh, about the Hindus. Okay, that's peace. That's very peace. I don't know if I have any distinct books on them. The language of birds. That's peace, God. Peace to God, infinite mind. Peace, yo, true Morgan, peace. D. Anthony, peace. Indigo, peace queen. All right, so sometimes I think that when you're reading, though, you have to develop a skill to be able to be a finisher. Um, honestly, I've been making sure I read at least 52 books since 2004. I have succeeded in that task since 2004. So I think as I go home today, it'll officially make me doing that for 20 years, right? 2004 through 2023. Yeah, for 20 years. So now I could shuffle a whole bunch of books because I know I'm going to be a finisher with at least 52 of them. Um, but when you're trying to get to read, that idea of shuffling between back and forth, it's better to be a good chooser of a book and make sure you read quality books that you know you're going to finish and then go from there. You know what I'm saying? But I don't care if a book's 300 or 400 pages or anything like that. If you get past a certain amount, you should read the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like there are books that are very long, and I could say like I didn't really get through the whole thing. I don't need to finish it. Um, I don't really have that mentality. I just have the mentality I'll read it eventually. Um, they've got to be really written badly for me not to continue. Right? Yeah. Right. But now with the access that I'm really giving everybody here to have a large library, so you should be able to pick out the books that you want. Um, think about the topics you want, and be a regular avid browser. Be an avid browser through Amazon. Not as a buyer. Not you, Harmony. You bought enough books already. But I browse through them all the time and then pick out the books that I want. You know what I'm saying? What if I don't know what type of books I should read and stuff like that? You know. But that's what. Oh, Sherlock Holmes is book easy. I'm reading Sherlock Holmes. That's one of the literature books I am reading. That book I'm reading, which one particularly? The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. So that's broken up in like in chapters. So what I do is when I make sure I have time, I won't put it down until I read that one particular chapter. You know, so how many chapters are there? There's 10, like 12. You know what I'm saying? So if I put my, they're each about maybe 20, 30 pages, right? They average about 30 pages each story. You know, so every now and then I get like, as long as I read one chapter when I go, you know what I'm saying? But but novels I'm terrible with. I'm really bad with novels though. I have so many that I started and I just haven't finished it. You know what I mean? And even and a lot of them I really like. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them I really like. I also have a category with hundreds where I put books in that shelf that are about 100 pages or less. You know, so if I need to just read something fast, you know what I'm saying? Um, or if this 52 bookmark is frustrating me, I just I speed read through those books in there. You know what I mean? Yeah, I've always liked Sherlock Holmes. You know what I'm saying? And I thought I'd like the books because I've watched. There's very few shows I've seen all of it. I can't think of many series where I've seen the whole series. You know, not more than My brother's an actor and really into film, so I've seen a lot more TV than most people on film. But everybody watches TV, right? But the actual Sherlock Holmes program where Lucy Liu was Watson, I actually saw the whole thing. You know, I actually saw the whole thing. So I thought, you know what, I might like the book. So I started reading the book. Yeah, Soledad Brother. That's a book would be great for me to read again because yeah, word. That's a great book for me to read because I think I read those I know I read those in 1990. It had to be 1999. Yeah, so it's a long time ago when I read those. Yo, that's such a dope bar, God. Word. AK Manolo. Yeah. But if anybody wants to start reading and they're like, well, I'm not going to have a good amount of books I read this year. It's already going to be November. But start now. Start now. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't really have a lot of books and you're like, no, I like to read physical books. You like to read physical books, but you have a book of 10, your library is 10 books. You know what I'm saying? Get with the new shit and use that phone for something. Books don't take almost no memory in your phone. You know what I'm saying? Um, all the books I'm reading have to be downloaded into the phone, right? That I'm actually reading. And if you count that, it's about, I'm gonna count now. How many books I'm actively reading, right? 16, 21, 31, 43, 44, 63, 73, 77, 81, 89, 89, and 94. So there's 94 books that I've started and that are open in here and downloaded into the phone. And this is probably why I had to make shelves and shit. You know what I mean? Um, so if you're not really getting into books and stuff like that, um, now you're gonna have to. You know what I'm saying? Um, I have the resources here. So if you let me know what subjects you're interested in, stuff, and getting into reading though is a skill that you lose immediately. You know what I'm saying? Um, I read fast, but if there's a couple of days, like maybe 2 or 3 that I don't get to read, it's considerably slower than I remember. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel that way. And concentration is the biggest reason. But I also have a select amount of pages I read every week. So saying that you read and shit like that because what happens is if you read something that's very difficult and you only read a few pages of it, um, you kind of slack. You know what I'm saying? So you got to get these assignments done. And if you're trying to be a writer or anything, um, I don't know how you get anywhere without reading a lot. You know what I mean? There's no way. You know, if you make music, you gotta listen to music all the time. If you write, you gotta read all the time. You know, it's just the way it is, and the way it ought to be. So those two things align them. So I listen to it. I'm always listening to music when I'm reading, except hip hop, unless it's instrumentals, right? What's interesting is that with the whole Palestine thing, if anybody wants to get that immediate history, because all of this, again, all of this ceasefire stuff and things like that, it's literally repeating what just happened 10 years ago. So, and 10 prior to that, and 10 prior to that. So, and just like their phrase, Israel's phrase, mow the lawn, they are now mowing the lawn right now. You know what I mean? Mowing the lawn. That's what they call it, though. Those devils. So, the book I'm reading is not a long book, but it's probably one of the easiest to get a quick picture of of this entire history. So again, if anybody wants that book, just email me. I don't think I've ever read anything from Zoshan. I don't think I've read anything. I think I have some books, but I haven't read. Thich Nhat Hanh, I've read, of course, a whole bunch. You know what I mean? Um, I try to read the almost every year. Almost every year, I read Thich Nhat Hanh's Heart Sutra. I love that book. I read that one almost every year. I didn't read it this year, but I read it 2 years, the 2 years prior. You know, yeah, it is a conquest. It's exactly like the indigenous genocide here in America. It's the same thing. Yeah, Malik. As you always do, email me though, because when it's in the email, then I can throw it out immediately and answer it. Yeah, I have Rebel Buddha. That's on my list to read too. You know, peace God. But I think I'm reading a book by Osho, so I wanted to finish that one. I'm reading a big ass book by Osho. What was it? Yeah, Rebel Buddha is on my list, but I'm reading The Rebel by Osho. That's why I didn't. You know what I mean? That's why I didn't get it. I just wanted to read one at a time. I don't read as many philosophy books as I used to because Infinite Mind knows this. Like when we started to train and do kung fu, and we was doing, and we was living this martial arts lifestyle. That's how we became our whole life. That's all I was doing. I was doing martial arts, and then I would read philosophy books, martial arts philosophy books. Um, Zen Buddhist, Chan Buddhist, Zen Taoist literature. You know what I mean? That's all I was doing. You know what I'm saying? So there's so many of the classics I read again and again. Although there's certain ones I read every year. You know what I'm saying? The Tao Te Ching. What else? The Art of Peace. I was in the bathroom. What's the other one I always read? The Great Learning, Confucius. Right, those are ones I always read every year. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Dr. Yang books. Yeah, yeah. I've got a nice collection of Dr. Yang too. I think I made a shelf for Yang though. Dr. Yang, gotta have a shelf here. Yeah, I got 10 Dr. Yang books here. Yeah, so yeah, Dr. Yang books are. You know what's crazy about Dr. Yang? You really could get along, go a long way with just see, yeah, yeah. You go a long way, um, you know, with just one of his books. That's what's so good about his books. Um, by the way, Harmony, in your collection, go to look for Noam Chomsky books because in the Noam Chomsky books, some of those books are his, so that are very, very useful on Palestine. So some of those are his. So the one I'm talking about, he co-wrote with Pat. So you know, Noam Chomsky books are always powerful with that. You know what I mean? There's as far as books about Palestine, some other useful authors, Max Blumenthal, Ilan Pape, um, Noam Chomsky. Who else? There's somebody else. Norman Finkelstein. And notice these are all Jews. These are all Jewish scholars. You know. There's also a documentary. I know it's on Vimeo. It's also on Rumble. Rumble's a good place to put in your research as far as videos and things. They got a lot of right wing shit and everything like that. But like everything, do the knowledge. Go in there and look for who you're looking for. But the thing about Rumble is that they don't censor. Um, YouTube and stuff does censor. Um, if you go, it's in Rumble, but I would go to just look it up on Vimeo. But there's a documentary called Killing Gaza. That's what's called Killing Gaza. And honestly, I saw the first like half of it, and it was just a very difficult watch. It's very difficult to watch, and so I just put it down because and decided to watch it later, finish it bit by bit. Um, Joe Dispenza. You know what? I don't think I have it. Do I could have sworn I got some of his. I can't check now. I don't have my drive here. I don't bring my drive with me, so I can't see if I. Because if I do, I didn't categorize it. You know. Yeah, I know I got some of the Joe Dispenza books. I think I have Evolve Your Brain. I'm pretty sure I have that one. I didn't make a category for him. That's why I can't really see right now if I have. But I'm pretty sure that I have a couple of his books. However, I haven't read a whole Joe Dispenza book. I haven't read a book of his. Peace Halftime. The Telltale Brain, I do have that. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I definitely have that. That's one of the first neuroscience books I read, you know? I always mention that book because it's got great stuff about mirror neurons, you know? And when it was written, that's when it was just like really burgeoning. And now there's so much more. So, but I still think the Telltale Brain, even though it's older, I would go for newer neurology books. It's still worth a read. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know I have Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, the placebo one, Evolve Your Brain. I have those. So yeah, I gotta make a category for him. Yeah, gotta make a little shelf in the app. That's right. Yeah, yeah. I definitely gotta get into yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely gotta read his. Um, do you I remember Black Electorate website? Why do I not? I don't. Um, you know what? I'm gonna start reading one of his books. Yeah, definitely got to get into him though. Definitely want to read one of them. When I read authors, I when it's science authors, I always read the most latest one that I can get my hands on. I don't know what the latest book he has that I have is. Let's see. I'm looking. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna read one of these. I'll let you know when I start reading it, God. Tell you what I think about it. Right, with meditation and stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've heard about that. Yeah. If he writes about that stuff, I definitely want to read about that. Yeah, I vaguely remember some site, but I don't know if it's the same one, and I can't remember the name. You know? Yeah, yeah. My little girl got to play with them. She had a lot of fun with them. Yeah. And I'm terrible at video games, so I got destroyed. But they work. They actually work. Yeah. So it's dope. Yeah, the Pac-Man has lots of a lot of different kinds of Pac-Man too. You know what I'm saying? So it's fun, and some other games also in it too that I never heard of. But I'm not a video game person, so Me not hearing of them doesn't mean shit. Yeah. So yeah, I don't talk about when I started to teach this class, I used to talk a lot about books. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny that I talk less about books and I have more capability to give everyone books. You know what I mean? So I take that time to talk about them. You know what I'm saying? And this doesn't mean just books that are essential books. It's good to balance it out with some fun books too. You know what I'm saying? Develop your palate and all that kind of stuff. You know? Yeah, the trolls are gonna get me for talking about books. Yeah. Wow, you have PS5, Xbox, Nintendo. Yeah, this Pac-Man, definitely. I think you'd have fun with it. Yeah. Infinite Mind knows that when I started teaching this class, though, I used some people tried to like um do just that and denounce me because I was teaching about books. All right. I'm confused here. Okay. Yeah, it's a writing class. Oh my goodness. I think it was like it had to be like maybe seriously like almost 10 years. And Umala still thought it was only a writing class. This is how like we had to kind of I had to kind of be under the radar, you know what I'm saying? Um People thought I shouldn't be teaching, like I was too young or something like that, whatever it was. Right? But, oh, they always do, yeah, yeah. But when I mean back then, it wasn't stuff like internet stuff, like people would really come to try to interrupt your class and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And yeah, so I really had to defend it now. Now it's like, the people that really build are the ones that are here. So that's really why I don't get beef, because the real builders are actually here. There's, people could talk about how many people need to be here and things like that. I just care about the quality of the people that are actually here to build. You know, but that's how it was. That's how it was. You know, so being challenged is a good thing, but the way that you challenge also changes the way everything is. So you can be challenged disrespectfully. Now that's a different story. And you could be challenged respectfully, or the way you ought to be challenged, and it might not feel the same way. And as you can tell, this wonderful lush music is my little girl calling me again during class. Peace, Alma.
Oops, it's Thursday.
Yeah, it's Thursday, and you calling me during the class session.
Oh, well,
Hey,
Bobby,
tell me how what you want?
Mommy told me that Miss Francis wanted to see a picture of my OMG dog, and I was like, oh my gosh! So I took like 16 pictures of my dollhouse.
Oh, okay, all right.
Bye, Bobby.
All right, bye, Alma. I love you.
Me too. Bye.
Peace. Okay, so you got that. Lots of pictures. Um, Infinite, you said the dip. I know she's so cute. She really is so cute. You know what I mean? Um, it just yeah. That's why I put that music though, because I feel that way after she calls me. So it's perfect. Infinite Mind, you said the difference with what we were doing at the Peace Corps compared to a lot of our family in the station. We were understanding how to walk and talk it this way as a way of life, not as a conversion to. Yeah, that's right. That's right. You know what I mean? This this fever, this obsession with absorbing everything that original people have ever made, every book, every style of martial arts, every single art form, every type of music we've made. This was the obsession we had, God. Like, you know what I mean? And I don't want people to lose that. I don't want people to lose that. That's why I want people to get into books and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Right? You said not as a conversion. Period. We were understanding our relationship with our past ancestors who saw themselves as gods and most powers. Yeah, yeah. You know, and it is vindicating. That's why I know why you want me to read the Joe Dispenza books. I'm gonna get on that ASAP, because with certain subjects of science, it's so wonderful to see how the things that we was postulating as ideas and stuff are got to be's. But we need this kind of research, to see it being done and to see it verify a lot of the things that we were saying. You know what I'm saying? It is it's great. You know, half time you say you get the same feeling with your nieces. Yeah, I get to work. I get to walk the 5-year-old to kindergarten tomorrow morning. Yeah, that's peace, man. That's peace. Yeah, man. I mean, my youngest daughter's 10 already, so yeah, I can't even like. I'm just enjoying the whole thing, you know. But people always say that like they want to enjoy it. Man. I think our children are great at any age. I just appreciate any age that they're at, though. You know, any age that they're at. It's amazing to me. You know what I'm saying? Amazing. They really are, God. Yeah, reputation, how many students and stuff. Yeah, it's always been a thing to count students. A lot of people do. That's why I've never done that. You know what I'm saying? I also don't like counting students. I'll tell you why, right? Doing something that no one's done here and being here this long technically I'm supposed to have more students than everybody. But the best, and that's ego. That's ego driven. You know, it's about the quality of what I've taught people. But the other thing is this: is that the way we define a student in this nation is someone that's dealing with 120, someone that's saying that they're the God or they're the earth. And then what happens is I'm trying to teach people freely and not, as Infinite Mind is saying, not convert them. That's what we do. We're not converting them. So if they're not, if that's what's happening, that I have students and I label them, then they're only labeled if they're going to be the God, they're going to be the earth. So they have to be that. And I have to make sure that they are that because they're not going to be a student anymore. Then I don't have a stat. So, you know, that's a big issue. You know what I'm saying? So I want people to freely learn. I want people to be exposed to this knowledge. And if they just use it to be a better person, civilized man, civilized woman, you know what I'm saying? Then that's what we were here for. That's what we're here for. And if they become the God, it's their choice, and they're never under the burden. Well, it would make Sunnis feel bad and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? The only thing that should make any student of mine feel bad is if they became a total savage. And in that case, though, how I feel about it isn't really what they should be thinking about. They should be thinking about how they feel as a savage, and that's horrible. You know. But if somebody decides to be a civilized person and they just want to learn things and they're not really ready to be out there teaching or be God, like say it because it just it doesn't resonate, or they're just not built like that. Whatever it is, they can make the choice freer this way. You know? They can make the choice freer.
Peace, God.
Peace, God.
Bro. What's up, baby?
Everything's peace, God.
Good, that's great.
But yeah, that's peace halftime. That's peace. You know. Yeah, so anyone that's on this and they're like, you know, I don't read that much or I like physical books and stuff. It's time to realize if you're reading physical books, though, how many books do you really have? You know what I'm saying? Are you and how easy it is to go digital. You know what I'm saying? The books take almost no space. You know, some of these videos you record, like I record myself training so I could study it. I'll throw things that I think look cool, but I'm really watching myself and seeing what I'm doing good and wrong. And at the same time, though, that 120-minute video, that's not even the amount of space that's taken up in these books. It's not even close. So there's plenty of space, and you can save notes in there. You could access these notes. It keeps your spot, your bookmarks. You know what I mean? All these things. So it's just great. It's just great. It's just a great tool. You know. Halftime, you said, can you share with us some of how you deal with when someone isn't progressing at a reasonable pace through the curriculum? I just tell people, if they're not building, I judge students not whether they're going through my curriculum. I judge them whether they're actually building in life. You know what I mean? Whether they go through Sunez's curriculum. What is Sunez's curriculum, though? Because if you really wanted to know my curriculum, it's do like me. And are you going to train every single day? You know, like, are you going to train where you only take days off about once every 3 weeks? Are you going to read 52 books a year? Are you going to make sure you read at least 300 pages a week? Because that's my minimum, 300 pages a week. Peace, God. Are you going to write at least 10 pages in your journal every week? You know what I mean? These are just requirements, though. These are requirements of life. I'm not even talking about whatever creations I make, be the art, music, or books I publish, or articles I write, things like that. Shows, right? None of that. Media. So, what is the SUNY's curriculum? I give out these things. They're all suggested, though. Reading, writing, going through lessons and stuff. It's up to everyone to do, um, their own work. And when I see you individually, and I see what you're doing individually, and I get to know you, then I'm gonna know what you're doing. But the real judgment of whether a student is doing great, though, is their resolve. If they're young and they're figuring out what they want to do in life, if they're older and they figure out um, how much stronger they're going to be in what they do, right, and continuing to add on and continuing to build, then that's the judgment. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I give you a funny update of the worst of the worst. A couple of classes back, I had a class session where I just talked about a student that failed, and they basically got themselves exiled from this entire damn nation. You know what I'm saying? And they just wanted to be a rapper with profile. And the person was about as old as me. And at this very moment, though, they still try to use unlisted numbers to text me and troll me and harass me into doing that. I'm not hip hop or whatever it is like that, right? And I spoke about this person. And after a while, I wanted to see what they were doing better, and they were not doing better. They still had a negative way of speaking. They only focused on things that happened bad to them, and their storytelling was just based on that. Um, there was no new work being done, and so they talked about what they had done already more vehemently. You know what I'm saying? Um, and they couldn't find the positive of things. And when this person was exiled, that particular person had a specific assignment. I said, don't speak to me negative about things. Don't speak to me about negativity and stuff. Only the positivity you're going through. And this particular day was the day after I had left them at the school with the elders. And I said, tomorrow we'll build about anything that they said or anything you learned or anything you want to follow up on. But, it was a positive experience, right? And, like this year, I've lost the amount of elders I've lost, and, peaking with my enlightened knowledge, it's like, this is a positive thing. Every time I see elders, like I see Sabu is here today and everything, and he was great, but I just cherish. It's been many years. I extra cherish that, but maybe more so this year. You know what I mean? Or I'm more aware of it. But next day, it's about a certain DJ that, hey, this DJ, he's a bitch and this and that, and I said, listen, I don't want to hear this negativity. And even though he sent me 10 voice messages about this situation, about a DJ that I actually knew, no, but I didn't even mention that I know him. I was like, yo, this isn't even about that person. Like, what are you learning? Like, what are you doing? And people, they disqualify themselves. I don't have to be a doctor, because after all that time, I asked him, do you know Supreme Mathematics? And he couldn't quote it. I didn't even ask him if he had a build on it. I asked him if he could quote it. That's nothing, man. You should be memorizing Supreme Math. Like, the ride back home. Like, that's not even, like, he, motherfucker said he lived in the Bronx, though. You should memorize Supreme Math by the time you get back home. Not when you in your 40s and shit. You know what I mean? When I came to a law school, I was old. They considered me old. I was 23. And I had knowledge math, supreme math, alphabet, 1 to 10 before I even got here. Hadn't eaten pork since 93, and I came here in 1999. I was already vegan for 3 years by the time I came here. So nobody had to teach me to be civilized or anything like that. I measure a student the more I get to know them about what they're doing in life and what they present. you know. And so everybody's different. I treat everybody differently. You know what I'm saying? I treat everybody differently. You know. There are certain students though that are great students, and you see them great in this nation that I taught, and some of them you wouldn't even know if they was my student. You know what I'm saying? I don't tell people. That's for them to tell it. But that doesn't mean I wasn't rough on them and shit like that. You know. So there's different markers. You know what I'm saying? If they're older though, then I expect them to be doing something, to be building, to be working at something. You know. Um, if they're young though, then I'll be on them a little bit more. Like, hey, what are you doing with this? Are you want this degree or that degree, shit like that. You know what I mean? Um, Peace to God, King. Come on, King. Come on, got me George. I've been George Benson all week, man. George Benson. You know, that's right, King. That's right. You know, been George Benson all week. Meaning I got to get it right and exact. King don't accept shit right. He accepts shit right and exact. You know what I mean? Hopefully I got it though. Hopefully I got it this time, King. Hopefully I got it this time. I don't know if you heard it yet, but hopefully I got it right this time. You know? I'm dying to get to the other two. So I'm already ready to do the other two. So. But I'll tell people something though. There's all type of music, there's hundreds of albums and stuff, but uh I could say that whatever's on my solo album though is it is very, very heavy. That's all I could say. You know? It's heavy, heavy concepts, heavy concepts, ideas and stuff, and and working on it, you know. A lot of fun to make, a lot of fun to make. You know what I mean? Even with all the, you know, right now I'm making my own version of "Give Me the Night." I'm George Benson, and Quincy's making me go back in there and do it again and again. Yeah. Oh shit. You know. All right. I'm gonna be here till 8 o'clock. So I got like 50 minutes left. You know what I'm saying? You know? Yeah. George Benson 3000. Oh shit. Oh man. Yeah. But yeah, so it's a heavy solo album, but it's not even as heavy as the book that's gonna come with it. So the solo album comes with a book. You know what I mean? The book, and the book is not a lyric book. Um, the book is actually my martial arts philosophy book. How to, and it's I wrote it years ago. Um, finished 90% of it in 2005, 2005, and it is a very experimental book. It is extremely um, it's extremely heavy poetic prose, the way it was written. So it's um it's a very unique read, very unique read. So that's gonna come with the actual album. So people think the album's heavy, but they read the book. Oh my goodness. You know, the book is very simple compared to that. The album is very simple compared to the book. King, you said wisdom is the way one must find their own equality based upon their foundation or knowledge of what makes them who they are. Either you'll build, elevate, or self-destruct. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This one's gonna, you know. And me and King, we got another album too together. So there's a third King Kamal and Sunez album already, pretty much done too. You know? So just been fun, making these songs. You know. And of course, I got another reel of 2023. That'll come out in January though, because I have to I make sure I get everything in December. So you know, and contrary to people think, they make a lot of money with best of stuff, but because I actually include everything that year, it comes out in January. I don't know if that's a reason, but it doesn't sell as much as my other books. So, but it's part of the documentation. Being a journalist, being a historian. So it's the most necessary book. You know. Definitely, yeah. We definitely got to make CDs. That's something that we definitely got to do for the albums. Right, King? Yeah, we definitely got to. You know, we have so much fun making them. Though it's like once we finish them, we go on to the next thing. And I never did this before, so it's so much that I'm learning and developing, and so it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So I just and King be throwing shit. He'd be like. That's how the third album got done. He was like, "Hey, why don't you throw something on this?" Okay. Then he tells you something else. Hey, I need you to do something here and here, and then pretty soon he's like, "Oh, we got enough songs for this and that." And I'm like, "What?" Funny. But again, today's main thing is to develop our reading skills, um, and then have a goal for how many books you want to read next year, and making sure that there are a balance of quality and fun, frivolous stuff and things like that. So if people really want to build up some kind of library, um, let me know. Let me know. Let me know what you're interested in. What you want. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because the solo album is based on my martial arts book. It's very militant, you know, and I felt like that's the best presentation of me, you know, for that first album. That's the best presentation of me, militant, revolutionary. You know what I mean? It's the best way I could present myself. You know? Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna go since we kind of. I'm gonna go through some of the health protocol here, you know, because I haven't reviewed that. And you know what? Now that we're gonna hit November, and everybody's gonna, you know, now they do Christmas shit early, so that means you're also gonna be getting fat quickly. You know what I'm saying? And eating whatever. So I go through this health protocol. Um, where is it? Okay. Um, Iron butterfly. Just say, "Oh no," because I'm the iron butterfly. You know that infinite mind is the light eagle. You know what I mean? Excuse me. I said that and I sneezed. Man. Light eagle made me sneeze. But me and Inf did a song a while back, a long time ago, and that's gonna be a bonus track on that album. You know, because it definitely fits with. It's a martial arts song, so it definitely fits. And Infinite Mind is, like really the greatest martial arts MC that exists. I mean, through the history of hip hop, Infinite Mind is the best martial arts MC that I've ever heard. You know what I mean? A real actual martial artist and a real actual MC. So album, he's got to be on the album, so he's on it. And if anybody wants it, just email me. I'll get it to you. It doesn't. There we go. Okay. Okay. I'm going to briefly review some of these points and stuff. And that's peace. Harmony, that's like you got your own little book club thing going, you know? I've never been part of like no book club and stuff. You know? The way I'm reading books now, I don't even like, you know. Does our supreme alphabets help strengthen our vocabulary? No. I don't want people to think that just knowing supreme alphabet and stuff, they're going to be all of a sudden a greater linguist. What it does, though, is it expands our dialect. That's really what supreme alphabet does. So by focusing and highlighting supreme principles of being a true living God on earth that we have. So it expands the dialect, though. It doesn't necessarily make you um, a better linguist or speaker in that sense. You know what I mean? And the vocabulary, I'm gonna keep it real. If you're a young person, teenager, maybe it expands your vocabulary and application, maybe use of words. But the supreme alphabet isn't really complex vocabulary. So I wouldn't say it strengthens our vocabulary. It's not a complex vocabulary. If you don't know the meaning of those words as basic English words, your vocabulary was terrible to begin with. Let's keep it real. Um, Maybe if you're a junior high school getting the knowledge, but the actual words in the supreme alphabet are not necessarily um, a vocabulary strengthener. However, because they help you see 120 better because they focus on these principles, especially the alphabet. You know what I'm saying? Zigzag zig. A lot of times that opens up the conversation about the interconnection and the revolving reality of knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and the alikeness of knowledge and understanding, right? Because knowledge and understanding are one and the same. And then when you start to build on it, though, that's that's how you start to see that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I wouldn't say it strengthens the vocabulary. It's not quite like that. Peace to God, original man, author. All right. Okay. King said it's gritty with so much substance, and I appreciate that guy. You know? And while King making sure I stay out of the babble range, because I love words. I be falling in love with them. You know what I mean? It's going on forever and ever. But we're not. It's not a book. It's a song. It's what Quincy keeps telling me. It's not a book. Song. Gotta make a song. This actual song. You know. I think that's why it's been very enlightening. It's not just with King. With King Kamal, you're not just making rap songs. You know what I mean? Like give a 16 and learning the technical ways of 16 chorus and stuff. And that's a structure. But we're really making songs though, so they have to have like good books, with great chapters. They have themes and openings and conclusions to certain ideas. Even the battle bars, uh, you know, they have conclusions to them. You know what I'm saying? They have a full arc. You know, and that's it's crazy. You know, it's crazy. Hey, I keep telling people, man, King is really an incredible musician. He's a musician. You know what I'm saying? Musician. It's amazing. You know. Oh man. Um, Harmony, you said once I was able to apply the degrees to my everyday life is where I found strength. Now I do not find myself forcing anything. It just comes natural. That's interesting. That's very interesting. You know. With doing things, there's a little bit of force for everything. So how much force is applied and how much isn't? You know? Like if I train and I have to get myself to go and move a certain way. But it can't be so forced that I'm moving wrong. Right? We have to write things and we have to create things, but we can't force ourselves so much. But we do have to instigate it. It's It's an interesting balance. So I'm just trying to articulate that natural thing. You know what I mean? Right? I think Malik, I think that's probably where, yeah, for us now, that's really where we have to go. Yeah, you know, streaming. I like streaming. I like that everybody could hear our stuff. You know what I mean? Um, but if people really wanted to say, you know, I love what they do particularly, and I want to support it, they don't. Now I don't have that relationship with music. You know what I'm saying? I'm a writer about music. I'm a music historian. So I feel, so I know, not feel, but I know that my job and my work is to collect everything by any means necessary. I don't give two shits who gets money out of it. I have to get everything, and I have to hear everything. But as far as hip hop, the culture I cover and everything like that, um, and this is not ego because people that know, if I write about you, that's worth more than a purchase, and everybody knows that. So. Um, I don't need to buy any music. I don't need to buy anybody's music. You know, when I write about people, though, it gives them more sales than. Let's say when I write about people, it gives them more money than I get out of it. You know, it gets them to more money than I get to. You know, yeah, that's a good point. Overthinking, yeah, overthinking, yeah, yeah, that's true. Reminds me of the Bruce Lee thing. You know, he says there's three stages of the punch. Right? There's the punch you always did, reflectively, just doing it. That was wrong. You know, like you do a punch, whatever punch somebody's doing that's wrong, and then you learn the punch, and now you're in the second stage of doing the punch the way that you're taught, and now you know what I mean? But it's still kind of wrong. It's technical. It doesn't really come out right, and then you get to the third level where like you know it's natural, you know, and it's yours, you know, and it's now ingrained the correct way, you know. A lot of things work like this, you know what I mean? I appreciate that, God. Yeah, you know, appreciate that. Anybody even listening to our stuff? Um, I guess you say UFC means that they could just do whatever they wanted to do. If that's the case, I would still go Bruce Lee. I think people really don't understand how many things he really knew. You know what I'm saying? And however, I will say this though that if Mike Tyson learned just a little bit of what Bruce Lee knew, he could beat anybody that ever existed. Anybody, you know, because he moved very kung fu short punches inside. You know what I'm saying, right? So a lot of the style of Mike Tyson was very Wing Chun like. So it was very small centered and everything, you know. But I think that Bruce, he could do too many things though. And he was a little bit too fast though. So he would he would tire out people, you know. And the reason we always pick Mike is because he's fearsome. And if there's one fighter we would know about that really had no fear in this manner, it would be Bruce Lee, you know. And by the time Bruce Lee has become known, he's been challenged by so many people, willingly looking for challenges and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, but in today's world, they just go with body type and size and everything. So they don't really see it that way. But I love both those fighters. I love Mike Tyson. I love listening to Mike Tyson. Yeah, you know, to understand Mike Tyson even better, I think reading his autobiography is essential. You know, that's a great autobiography, by the way. If you're not getting into your reading, if you're not really reading, That's the kind of stuff you ask me for. You know what I'm saying? Reading biographies of people that you find fun. Listen, I read biographies of people that are totally frivolous, though, if I'm really off point with my reading. You know what I mean? I read Taraji Henson's book. You know what I mean? Like, I read Tony Braxton's biography, even though I love Tony Braxton's music obsessively, but you know, but it's not like a number one book to read if you're studying music, you know. So it's like you know, it's the thing to do, you know. Well, you can see that degree, Malik, a lot of times, right? You're gonna see that a lot of times. The ignorance of people, that keeping our people being kept illiterate, right? He said, King said, Sunez is more civil, so you come the bar. Uh, yeah, music is available out of convenience everywhere, but I strongly encourage supporters to always support the artist directly. Yeah, you know. Listen, there's albums you're not really gonna go get to buy, right? You're not gonna get to go buy albums that are mad old, like old Delphonics, Manhattan's albums, and things like that. Stream that, because at least somebody might get some sale out of that or something, right? But if you can, though, artists that are right now, you know what I mean, like, and also not just support on the Bandcamp, but you know, tell people about it. Write a little review in the Twitter or the social media and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Though, you know what you liked about it, shit like that. You know, you did. Oh shit, you did, Malik. Let me see. Let me hook that up. The 23rd degree in the 1 to 40. You asked something about that, right? I can't remember the last time somebody asked me about the 23rd degree. You know, but the 23rd degree relates to knowledge, right? Word is bond, right? In some ways, right? Um, the 23rd degree in the 1 to 40, it's many nations, right? I'm just reading what you said. Nation of Islam, etc. What was the nation name in that degree? Also, in the next degree, it says, what was his determined idea? Right? Talk about the 24th degree. Um, what was his determined idea? No, the determined idea is in there, like to make devil, to make a people to rule. What made Elijah say it was predicted? Now that's a good question. That's a very good question. Um, the nations, though, you know, I think it suggests this, right? That he promised what his nation he would do. That Yakub was at a high level, powerful, known, that he could declare things in the nation that he was from. Okay. Now the context of nation back then, not really sure. You know what I mean? Not really sure. Okay. And as far as what made Elijah say it was predicted, right? These all things go back to this idea that if they knew, people forecast things because they see things happening. The smarter you are is the more knowledge you have. The more insightful you are is the better ability to have understanding out of more and more knowledge. They were very insightful. They could see the direction of this confusion, the separation of ourselves, the possibilities of seeing ourselves differently. These are all things that make the white man being made. It's our own separation in our own minds. Okay? So there was some type of manifestation of separation already being had. There was already differences. Indians being exiled is one example in the lesson, right? In the lessons, right? So these predictions are not far off, right? And this is why they said it was predicted. It was expected that something would happen to deal with this kind of separation, right? You know, the 23 scientists, I don't talk too much about like individuals though, but we have to understand that there are best knowers in every cipher, you know? And so, you know, in that sense, um, who are the best knowers in a cipher, right? When we look through ancient Commission civilizations, we see that the best knowers are usually that priesthood. So the societies were always hierarchical in some kind of way, pyramid structure, to be pun intended, right? So we talk about who are the 23 scientists, right, original man author? We're talking about those people that know the trends, the way society must go. And it's only because they're privy to more information. They're at a vantage point to collect that information. Okay. They've been given the responsibility to collect that information, right, to make judgments, right? Because remember, Yakub discovering the idea doesn't mean that the idea didn't exist, or the concept of unlike attract, like repel doesn't exist. It just means that he discovered it. So the prediction is that somebody will discover that, right? It will be discovered and it will be utilized in a way to give a full realization to the separation that is already happening. But the separation is happening over time for a long period of time. Okay. Right. All right. When the degrees speak on, could it be more symbolic, like allegory, a story within story, or people that symbolize certain things? Sure, sure. I think every idea originates with one person, and yet, what's most important about that idea is that other people have to really. Doesn't mean that other people didn't solidify it, develop it, make it concrete. You know what I'm saying? And that's why you see in the culture degree in the 1 to 14, no, Yakub isn't there. Okay? Yakub doesn't exist for that whole 600-year period. And yet it says that they exiled, right? Yakub, right? So we know that in many respects it's also an idea. Okay? Right? It wasn't Yakub they made run up there and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? I look at the degrees like a cloud and the answers like the drops of rain to research. Malik, that had to be the most poetic way to look at study. You know, you you're turning into a you're making Sufic literature out of 120. It's wonderful. Um, you know, I'm not going to get to go through the whole protocol, but I want people to ask for it. The protocol, the health protocol. I don't make it so everybody eats like me. In my research, this is the way I found to be the best way. Um, I've obviously been able to do it for over half my life, and to strong effect. But I want to go over one thing in that protocol is the mentality of the diet. Okay, mentality of the diet. Right. Just because we can, one of the things to understand is if your mentality is not there, right, and you're not looking at everything as something that's going to add on in your body. Um, that is just things that you do for your own self, and you're just not trying to ruin it, and you're not really eating to live. You don't look at this as like a fuel. Um, then the pleasures of eating will overcome everything. You know, and it's a thin line. It's a thin line between living to eat and eating to live. Because you say, no, I eat to live. I eat to live. I don't live to eat. But there are moments where you're picking foods because you want to live to eat that food. You know, and like I was telling the God, I was building with the God, and I'm building on this now because I was building with the God today, but also someone in one of the older class videos was asking about diet and stuff. So I figured I'll start to throw some stuff in there and let him know that the protocol's there. So he's watching this. Um, email me for tax for the protocol. It's at the top of the chat, the email, and or in the description of the video. I always put my email, and doesn't matter for us. That's getting older. There's two things I've noticed. The healthier I eat, though, and this is probably for me because I've done well, and when I eat really well, I don't always see the benefits of it, right? Until I take a look, right? But I don't make too many mistakes, especially this decade. This decade, I don't make too many mistakes. I can remember every single cookie or anything like that I ate. Okay, so like I mean the amount of treats like a cookie or something like that that I may have eaten is within a hand is probably in handfuls of the amount. You know what I mean? Yeah, I barely eat that. And I make sure I don't buy it. Um, but everything that's good for you, you have to have a way of measuring to see if it's working. And the best way to measure to see if something's adding on, though, is to see if you can challenge your body to do something. So sometimes you may not see it physically. And everything that you eat, though, if you're really studying yourself really well, because you have to start studying yourself so you can see the incremental changes, though, really well. You're not going to see the effects of something you eat today, though, is usually going to affect you. You'll see a major difference the next week. You know what I'm saying? Um, but everything good that you eat will do something good. Everything bad that you eat will absolutely do nothing and something possibly bad. Right? And the older you get, though, everything that you eat that isn't right and exact will do something. Okay? All right. So it's a winding road. It's a winding road, you know? And I think sometimes we eat too functional. So the mentality of a diet also has to be away from just the functional. So that can hit you in many ways. Like you eat by functional, meaning like you eat like by like and dislike. If you eat, you'll eat by the functions and how they define functions. So if you need something for energy, you'll have yourself their energy powders. Like the pre-workout powder or something like that. A Red Bull or something, and you'll just be killing yourself for a healthy pursuit, for healthy act, even for healthy activity, you could be ruining yourself. Right? So deciding, right? Mentality of the diet. Why do we eat? What particular reasons will we eat for? Right? This affects what we eat eventually. Knowing your priorities and eating is crucial. Right? The way we eat begins with why we eat. Okay? Right? There's the eat to live, right? Not eat to live to eat. Ultimately, the reason to eat is a need to gain energy for all the things we need to do, want to do, and would like to do. Right? For this, we must be healthy inside and outside of the body. Okay? And the first thing to start to master, what I really was trying to get into, is this culture of like and dislike. Okay? Like and dislike. Even when you get into a healthy diet, you start having a fear that it won't be you. Now, when you get into the functional reasons, you get into the fear that it won't work. Okay? A lot of times, I'm gonna tell you now, when you change your diet, not necessarily going vegan, but certainly going vegan, um, you get worried about, oh, will I get protein? Will I get this? Will I get that? Um, that fear won't help you, especially if it's an unfounded fear. Um, One of the reasons you have that fear is because you don't have enough knowledge about what diet actually does, like what each thing food does, and what protein does and how protein is absorbed in the body. So, you know what I mean? So the mentality of the diet, okay, there has to be a mindfulness when you eat. There has to be a logic when you eat. There has to be a changing, you know. I don't have any sugar. So for years and years and years, I have taken nothing, drank nothing that has extra sugar added, and I have not put a spoonful of some type of sugar in anything I drink. Um, I don't know. I can't even tell you how long that's been. That's over like 10, 15 years. Um, the only sweetener I use to add is honey. And I might have a honey, uh, how many times? Like maybe on a fast when I want a nice tea as a treat. If I'm doing a really long fast and I just want to get extra energy, I have a tea with some honey in it. Um, Always raw organic honey. But that's about it. That's about it. I can't remember anything I have. And I try to save my sweets. My daughter's a chef, so I try to save any sweets for anything she'll make me. Right? Um, but I will leave it at that. The mentality of the diet. And any questions that people have right now. That protocol, though, I'll email it to anyone that emails me, and I'll send it back to you. King was that King? You said I'm slim until 40, and afterwards my metabolism slowed all the way down. I gain weight in the gut too fast. Yeah, yeah. That means that a lot of the foods, a lot of foods you eat catch up to you. You know what I'm saying? I become allergic to certain foods that are considered healthy because I've had them in many amounts. You know. Also, too, probably have to work out more, and then have extended fast, and then use these fasts. Right? That's amazing, Nyoki. You've lost 119 pounds of fat. That's amazing. That's amazing. That's great. You know. Stevia is fine. Okay, stevia is good. Vega brand, yeah, that's a good brand. Stevia is actually a plant, so it's not sugar at all, but it actually sweetens things. It has a sweet. Uh, I don't know what it's called, but there's like an index of sweetness, and stevia is far higher than sugar. So, like, if you have a stevia, what is it? A stevia. If you have stevia powder or stevia liquid and stuff, and you put it, you gotta use only a little bit. And I don't care for stevia and like in things, but I'm a person who drinks tea without without any sweetener. If I add sweetener to tea, it's very rare. It's only with like certain teas, but like the main teas I drink, I don't put sweetener. You know, extended fast. I go for me personally. I go as long as like I usually break it before 48 hours. I go like regularly every week. I do one about 44 hours, 43, 42, 44, 45. And I don't go longer because I don't like my muscle mass to wane. You know what I'm saying? And a 3-day water fast once a month, that works. Yeah. I combine intermittent fasting and one like 40 plus hour fast. So I start my fast now. I'm doing a fast now. It starts today in the afternoon and it goes into Saturday afternoon. And so tomorrow I just spend it, reading, training, things like that, and doing other work. That substitute I don't know about. I've heard about it, I'm not. I think it's okay, but some. Be careful with. There are a lot. Mostly all of the artificial sweeteners are bad. Okay. Um, I think that's like xylitol, where it's a sugar alcohol and it's fine. So like xylitol is very good for you. All the gum that I eat is xylitol based gum. Because again, you don't want sugar. Okay. Agave is natural, but it's extremely sweet. I wouldn't recommend using it regularly. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it is like xylitol, right? Yeah. Same, similar composition. I know about xylitol. Xylitol is very healthy for you and good for your teeth. And if you're chewing gum with artificial sweeteners and shit, like aspartame and things like that, you're killing yourself. One chew at a time. During intermittent fasting, I always have lots of teas for energy. So I have like yerba mate, not yerba mate when you buy it from the store, the powder, okay? The actual, loose leaf. Loose leaf guayusa tea. Green tea sometimes gives you energy too because they're diuretic. Because the teas are diuretic though, during the fast though, they're gonna help you do what you're trying to do that day and flush out the body. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If you want gum harmony, the xylitol gum is good. Okay. So, yeah. It's no sugar and it's actually good for you. So that's what I would recommend. Yeah, locally grown honey is great. And if I love honey. When you get honey in different places, like I've gone to farms that got honey, you're getting farms where the bees are at particular flowers and stuff, and the honey tastes different. Honey tastes different depending on where the bees are. So, and a lot of the honey you get in stores, even if it's organic, though, it's a compilation of honey from different places. So they have like one general kind of flavor, which is good and everything. But that's where when you buy the things like wild berry honey and things like that, they're not flavors that are added to the honey. The reason they're called that is because the bees were in those flowers. You know, all tea is steep. Steep just means that how long are you leaving the leaf inside the water? And some teas cannot be steeped for long, or else they get bitter. You know, and if you think tea is drinking Lipton tea, then you haven't even scratched the surface. Um, for example, white tea, which is from the green tea leaf, but the stem is very delicate. Um, that you don't steep too long. You know what I'm saying? And you don't boil. You don't put it in boiling water. You just put it. You let it boil, but then you let it settle. Then you throw it in there. You don't just put boiling water on that. So there's a way to make tea. Different teas. Manuka honey. Manuka honey is the best. Yeah, Manuka honey is the best. It's the most. From what I've learned, it's the most potent tea. Potent honey. Potent honey. You know. But any wild raw organic. And again, that technically doesn't classifies me as not being vegan though. I don't give a shit about people's labels. You know what I'm saying? All right. I haven't eaten flesh of an animal since 1996. Haven't had dairy since 1993. Right. So I don't give a damn about people's labels. Right? But honey is the only food that does not go rotten. So if you have a jar, unless it was pasteurized. So if you have a jar of raw and organic honey, you're like, oh shit, I forgot I had this. So it's been here for like 2 years. That shit is still good. You know what I'm saying? Shit is still good. Yeah, some teas cannot be oversteeped. You know what I'm saying? And some teas will get too strong though. They'll get too bitter and they won't taste good. You know. So it's a science to it though. I see them guy Rakim, piece of God. All right, the Gil Noble of this era. All right. Right. So I just gave those ideas. If anybody wants that Living Foods protocol, I give out. I give that out free. Like all my plus lessons, just email me. And if you want certain books or you're trying to get like a book collection and stuff, I'll send you stuff. You know what I'm saying? Right? Indeed, God, indeed. Um, if you're not, if you're in this nation and you ever listen to any podcast at all, if you listen to a podcast and it doesn't include Wise the Dome TV, you're selling yourself short in this entire nation. You know what I mean? That God represents us in the entire scholarly, intellectual world, in the revolutionary world. You know, in the world that we're supposed to be out dominating. You know, so it's a it's not even a fun listen. Like, oh, just listen. It's fun. It is, but it's mandatory. I think it's mandatory. I don't want to hear that you listen to fucking Joe Budden and you don't know about Wise and Don't TV. Don't tell me you got knowledge of stuff. And you listen to Joe Budden's or some of these other stupid ass podcasts. Don't tell me, oh, I don't know what's going to happen in the Breakfast Club now, you know, because of what happened to DJ Envy. You're fucking up. You're fucking up. Don't tell me you got knowledge though. And these are your podcasts. Oh, you know, because I already get pissed off. I hear people, they talk about hip hop and they're not listening to my shit, Classic Storm Radio, shit I do, but they're listening to Nori shit. Fucking up. Don't tell me you know about this fucking culture, right? But seriously, Wise Adult TV is necessary, right? Indeed, God, indeed, and be well rounded though. If you want books about music, if if you're interested, you saw a biography. You know what I'm saying? All that kind of. You'd be surprised. Like and Harmony knows because right. I collect all types of books. I just go get them. You know what I'm saying? Like I get books I'm not even gonna read. I just go get them. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm not gonna read them, though, they could serve as research material. You know what I'm saying? Right? And when I go to libraries and bookstores, I just take out my phone and I take mad pictures, and then I go get the books later if I can. You know what I'm saying? And so I just collect all kinds of stuff. You know, because a good balance of books, though, that way there's no reason why you can't read. You know, and after a while, though, if you attach it to one of the most fun activities for me, listening to music and reading at the same time. That's all I do. You know what I'm saying? And it's a world of culture like that, you know. So definitely do that, you know. And when you listen to these podcasts and stuff like that, get up on the God, Wise or Don't TV, get up on the Word of Bond, man. I mean, you know, I think one of the last shows I completed though, I'm almost finished with Brother Jay, but the round table that you had, and one of the brothers was like saying was this in Park. I was like, oh man. I was like, all right, but I said, let me keep going. And it was a good episode. But he overstepped with that, Rakeem. He overstepped with that. You know, it's this in Park right there. He wasn't feeling it. But that was a great episode, you know, because that's exactly what we, wanted to hear, you know. And it's to God. He's asking the questions that we want to hear answered. You know what I'm saying? And the proper follow-up questions and all these things, you know. So definitely do that. You know? That's right, Brother Jay from X-Clan. That's right. Yeah. Sure. Wise Dome T. It's on YouTube. It's on Spotify. You know what I'm saying? Right. So there's no reason not to listen. You know, I listen to it on Spotify, but I like to watch it too. So I go on YouTube. But the guy's doing, brilliant things. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta head on. Got the album out, Wise It Dome album too. So we got so many builders in this nation. You know what I mean? I didn't finish. I'm almost finished with that one. Yeah, that was good. That was really good. It's a lot of questions that other people can't ask them and wouldn't be able to ask them. You know what I'm saying? So again, that's the value the value. You know what I'm saying? That's right, Malik. So with that said, we're past 8 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, Classic Storm Radio to do all that. So, but I've been doing interviews with OG Press Magazine. You can read those if you subscribe to the magazine. And of course, with DJ Toaster's Classic Storm Radio, we're gonna have the Queen Indigo on. I'm about to interview her tomorrow. So those get put on late, and I've interviewed a bevy of people this year. So I'm still on my game with that. You know what I'm saying? As far as interviewing musicians. But with that said, anybody have anything? If anybody really wants some books and diverse books, or, you know, a way to start with collection and what they would like to read, decide what you would like to read. I'll give you suggestions. I'll throw books at you, and download these apps, the Google Play Books app. Get yourself a PDF reader, and also Mobi. You know, I mean Kindle. You know, to read Mobi files. Although I don't have many of those. Mine's are mainly EPUB, but get with that. We need to start reading more. We don't read enough. You know what I'm saying? And we have to get into the culture of reading though, because it's going to be lost. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be lost. Our enemies, they read a lot. They read a lot. You know what I'm saying? You want to talk shit about, oh, the grafted man, the grafted this though, but take any ride on the train though, and you tell me, out of the adults you see on the train, who's reading, who's not. Okay? Before you start acting like they're weak and this and that. We keep talking about weak and wicked though, but they're doing stronger things. Gotta get our game on. We gotta get up. We gotta get up. We gotta get sharp. All right. So with that said, I'm gonna let everybody go. Right. So we start building though, and I'm available. So please. And CI wise, I did get your email. It was long. I wanted to answer correctly though, so I will though. So that was a great email, and I was very intrigued by it. I didn't have the time to finish it though. Between what out the books I'm finishing, everything I didn't get to give a proper read, and King also got me locked in the booth. You know, doing Give Me the Night again and again. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Quincy Kamal got me locked in the booth. You know what I mean? So we doing some shit though. You know, so let's keep building, all right, and creating and adding on this shit. Anybody got any questions to contact me, all right? And I will get back to you, okay? That's what I'm gonna do. I'll be doing that tomorrow. I have a lot of time to work tomorrow. All right? Peace.